back to the channel. Today we're working on the TVR. Even though I don't agree that TVRs are unreliable, I am currently experiencing a couple of minor issues. One with the mirror, which we'll do in another video, and the boot lid has stopped closing properly. I've had a quick look. This is the catch. There's a little post on the boot lid itself which you can adjust for height, and then this is the mechanism that the striker falls into. I'll get a screwdriver and I'll show you how this works. Now I've already pulled away the carpet here. The carpet in TVRs is just stuck down with contact adhesive, so it's easy to put back. Pull that back so I can get to the bolts. But essentially what happens when they shut the boot, that is essentially the striker on the boot lid, and then it pushes down, and then this catch comes across, which in theory stops the boot. Oh, but look, you can see that's my issue. So the boot lid comes down, and then it shouldn't be able to open again, except I think this mechanism is just worn out. You know, the car's 20 odd years old now, and I think the little catch in the bottom is just worn away so much, thousands of times of the boot opening and closing. Now this, when it's closed, this opens by the use of a cable. Now can I show you this in the dark? I may have to get a torch, hang on. Okay, so let's see if I can do this upside down. Right, in this hole here, which is just below the catch, we're now inside the boot. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to show you because the catch is hidden in there. No, it doesn't look like I'm able to show you it. So the way this works is, about here there is a cable, a bit like the brake cable on a bicycle, and on the end of it is a little brass ferrule with a screw in it, and that pushes against an arm which is on here. In fact, I've got the replacement so I can show you the new one. So we've got a replacement lock, and at the bottom here there is an arm with a hole in it. So I've latched the lock, and then what happens is the cable will pull where my finger is, and we'll open the lock. And that's pulled like that with the cable. The cable comes down here, and there is a solenoid in the boot which pulls it when you either press the button in the car, or if you're lucky enough like me, I've got the alarm set up so there's a button on my key that I can press and open the boot without having to go in the car, turn on the ignition and press the button. Now I don't actually know yet if the electrical side is still working, because I need to fix this first. So first job is to take this off, loosen off the cable, take the ferrule off, pull the cable out, put this in, put the cable in the new lock and fasten it up, and then we'll have to adjust it and then see if the electrical side's working, and if not, we'll have to investigate that. Right, hopefully you can see, if I can manipulate this to get you to be able to see it. Now I don't know if you can see that on the end of the arm there is a cable, and on the end of the cable is a ferrule holding it in place. Maybe you can see it there, and that's what pulls the arm. Now I'm going to undo the ferrule. It's only a little screwdriver, and take this off the wire, and then put the new one back on the wire, put the ferrule on, and then we'll bolt it in and see if it works. Right, so the plot thickens. When I tried to put the wire in the new one, it really wasn't long enough, so I thought I'd find where the solenoid was, which is this. So the wire is connected on the end there. That wire goes along, there's a cable tie on there which I'll explain later, and then the latch would go on this end. So if you look at how it's laid out on the car, the solenoid is actually behind the carpet, behind a big hole. Let's go for the light again, a bit further down the car. There's a hole that you can get to it. There's two screws just above it to hold it in. Two Phillips there, fairly easy to get out. And there's the wiring, and the blue and red wire goes to the blue wire on the connector for the solenoid. Now this solenoid doesn't really look to be moving at all. I would have thought that end needed to be out and then need to pull in. This is rock solid. This isn't going anywhere. So it looks like these little clips means I can get this open. So with a bit of lubrication we can maybe get this to work again, because that doesn't look like that's working at all to me. So time to investigate. Right, we've got it to bits. It's fairly easy because these little clips on the side, you can just prise it apart, and you can see inside there's a cog and a tooth straight bit. So as this turns, the solenoid end, this end goes in and out. Let me see if I can do this the other way around. So that goes in and out like that, and the motor that turns it here, I've got to say, this motor stinks like it's burnt out. But what I'll do is I'll stick 12 volts across it and we'll see if the motor actually turns. Well, I sorted out a 12 volt supply. I've got like a wall wart that's 11.5 volts, and I've tested it with my meter and there's 12 volts coming out, and we've put it across the motor and it doesn't do anything. And the reason is that this motor is absolutely solid. I can't turn this at all, rock solid. So that's worn out. So not only is the catch buggered, but the solenoid is at the end of life as well. So I'm going to have to try and find a solenoid and then continue this video later. Right, so the new solenoid's arrived. It's got a few too many wires, but looking online, we can test it now. The blue one and the green one are the ones that work. So if I touch that on the green, boink, there we go. That's what we need to happen when we get poison and egg on there. So at least it works. So I'll carefully wrap up the ones I don't need, wrap them up with tape, and then we'll try installing it. Right, so I've cut off the ones I don't need and taped them up, and we've got connectors on the two that we think we're going to work. So we now have to put it in the boot such that when it's normally in there, it's extended like this, not in. So I want it out and kind of not under tension as such, but so that when I shut the boot, this is definitely pulled out, because otherwise it'll never open again. Right, so I'm going to fit this in the boot with the wire through there, and then I need to feed the wire through the boot to the catch. Right, I've fastened two cable ties together. Here's the one end, and it's gone through the bodywork past the backlight, and then it's poking out in the hole where the solenoid goes, and I've fastened the wire onto the solenoid, so there's a fit in and then the wire, and I'm going to tie that to the end of the cable tie and feed that back in so the wire is sticking out where the catch is, and then I can connect up the solenoid, try it, screw it in, and then all the carpet and that can go back on, and then we're just concerned with getting the ferrule through the catch on this end. So I'll try doing all that. Right, I've managed to get the solenoid screwed back in again. There's the two screws. Locating the screws can be a bit of a challenge, but now we're in the position where if I hold the wire, now can I hold this with the, if I press my button on my key, whoa, you can see it pulls the cable now. Now what I need to do next is fasten the catch into here and tension the cable so it's up against the catch leg, so it pulls the catch leg when the solenoid goes. Okay, there's the new catch. I've managed to get the wire through the ferrule. I cut the rough end off with my snips because I've got enough here that I think I can afford to do that, and I've put the ferrule on roughly, and then I'm going to tighten that on. Then I'm going to put the catch on, and then through the little hole in the bottom down here I'm going to adjust the wire to the right length and hope that that works. Right, so I've fastened up, I've put it in the right place, and there's a bit of belt and braces. I've put a electrical chocolate block thing on the end after that, so if that ferrule ever does come undone, it's got to defeat this one as well, because obviously if that wire snaps or pulls through, how are we ever going to get in? You know, it's going to be a massive job to try and get to that catch from the outside. So right, I'm going to bolt this back in and then we'll give it a test. Right, so time to test it. So if I push the catch shut with my screwdriver and then press the button, job's a good one. So now's the scary part. Take all the valuable stuff out of the boot and then close it and test it. So here's the final test. Bingo. So I had to adjust the catch a little bit. Thankfully I'd drawn round the bolts so I could see where it had been before, and then you have to kind of look to make sure it's actually going to go in the catch. And look at that, it's locked just by dropping it. Bingo. So now all I need to do now is glue all this carpet back on and job's a good one. So hope you enjoyed that. It was a relatively easy fix after all the parts arrived. So please like, subscribe, ring the bell, do a jig, have a happy birthday. Please subscribe, that really helps us, and we'll see you on the next video.